Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Again with me today, I have Professor Anthony Killer, Professor of Strategy and Development and Institute Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, CIAPS, and Jide Ologun, Legal Practitioner and National Development Advocate. For the past year, 2024, Nigeria's ministries, departments, and agencies were only able to achieve a 43% rate of budget performance. Out of the 48 ministers currently serving in President Bola Tinubu's cabinet, only the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, is being commended for achieving something close to acceptable budget performance, a situation which is considered a fair reflection of how much work that needs to be done by officers in charge of the country's MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies as the 2025 budget season sets in. To realize this, the Bureau for Public Procurement, BPP, is sharing vital information on perceived infractions in public procurement processes with Anti-Corruption Agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, and the Code of Conduct Bureau to track corruption in the public service. Now, budget performance in Nigeria usually revolves around procurement as a critical logistical tool in the process and a continuous assessment of how this has played out over the years. That now leads me to our next conversation with Dr. Adebowale Adedokun, who is the Director General of the Bureau for Public Procurement. Great to have you here on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show. Dr. Adedokun, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Dr. Ruben, for having me on your program. It's my pleasure to be here and to be able to share what the Bureau of Public Procurement is doing to enable the dividends of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President come to reality across all the 36 states, all local governments, and even to the international community that we are on the right track. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for honoring our invitation. First, public procurement accounts for the bulk of government expenditure. Now, in the assessment of the 2024 budget, we were told that performance was just about 43%. Now, what role does your office play in making sure that these MDAs, perform according to expectations, do procurement, and whether it's the envelope system or not, where does your agency come into this picture to ensure performance?
Thank you, Doctor. Let me clearly define the role of BPP in the value chain. Bureau of Public Procurement has a responsibility to ensure that all MDAs comply with the provisions of the Public Procurement Act in carrying out their various initiatives. The Bureau of Public Procurement has that responsibility that agencies of government comply with what they have set out to do, when they will start it, how they will do it, what time they will deliver it, and then the impact on the society. So BPP has that responsibility to provide policy guidelines, provide timelines, provide instruments upon which contracts can be awarded. It has the instrument to ensure the right contractors are selected. It has a responsibility to ensure that cost is reasonably fair. And it has a responsibility to also tell the Nigerian public that so NDA has been given approvals to undertake various developmental projects, as designed by the current government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so BPP is that tool, is that enabler, is that catalyst that will enable the economy to move at a faster pace. So that's exactly what our role is. And also, to also bring to the reality of Nigerians, those who are slowing down implementation. It's also our responsibility to also bring to some kind of discipline those officers of government, the procurement officers, or those that have been saddled with responsibility, that it cannot be at their pace. You can't implement projects at your own pace. You must implement, you must carry out procurement processes based on the timelines that the Bureau of Public Procurement has issued and will continue to issue as things evolved.
Okay, Dr. Adedokun, yes, thank you for defining the role of the BPP. In fact, that Department of Government at a point was known as Department of Due Process, I think. They used to call it due process, people following due process. But you were at a point assistant to the DG, you've been inside the system, now you are sitting on the hot seat. So it's a different thing to be within the system and then to be the man that is now controlling things. What challenges have you faced? Because there are some people who allege that, the BPP, either before you became the DG or now that you are DG, is very fond of giving certificates of no objection. Anybody that comes around gets a certificate of no objection. And maybe this is what is responsible for non-performance, or is it ignorance on the part of the people who apply for certificate of no objection, or corruption within the system? Some people say, in fact, that's where the problem is. They get approval, they award the contract, they do procurement, they play with the money. There's no follow-up, there's no due process.
Thank you again. Let me clarify and to abuse the minds of Nigerians. There's nothing wrong with BPP issuing different forms of certificate of no objection. I think that is only one out of the 19 functions that the Bureau of Public Procurement undertakes. Certificate of no objection that is so synonymous with BPP really is only one out of several. And why is that so important? It is an instrument that we use to ensure that MDAs, government agencies, go through a particular cycle. We have a 9-stage procurement process that every agency must go through. For instance, every government agency must, first of all, understand their needs. What do they want to do? They must understand that from the National Strategic Plan. For instance, the Renewed Hope Agenda of Mr. President has listed out so many things he wants to do. Every sector will take that vision and translate it to activities by coming out with their needs. Then they must go further to find where will the resources come from? How will they be able to fund that? As soon as they're able to understand where the funds will come out, then they have a procurement plan. That procurement plan is one of the instruments that BPP uses to ensure that we track procurement processes, that we track how projects are being implemented. So in that procurement plan, every government agency chooses what method they would apply. There are some projects that will require that you don't have to advertise because of the nature of that procurement. There are some projects, due to national security, you give them special method of procurement. However, what is important is that all procurement must be done openly, transparently, where every Nigerian have an opportunity to participate. I know it's not every time the contractor will win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. The important thing is that there is a process, there's transparency in what you do. And of course, the certificate of no objection comes into place when the threshold is above a particular level of governance. We have different thresholds. Once you don't advertise, BPP would have to give you a no objection to adopt a particular method of procurement. Now, this is mostly where in the past we see some abuses. It's not totally correct that the no objection is what is slowing down budget implementation. In actual fact, if we use that instrument well, it is what's going to facilitate economic development in our nation. So when people say that no objection that BPP issues is shrouded in some form of corruption, is actually because we do not clearly understand. It's like you are going to fly to UK, you must get a visa. Even when you get a visa, you must have your flight ticket, you must have your where you will reside, you must state the purpose and duration. So that no objection that we talk about, it is inside it. The certificate we issued tells you the entire story of a particular project. For instance, if you are going to build a road or a hospital in a particular location in Nigeria, when you choose to adopt another method other than open competition, you must show us the justification why you don't want to advertise. That is captured in the no objection that we issued. And in the cycle as well, having given you a method to adopt, we expect the agencies to then go further and invite the bidders that have been selected or in an open competitive manner. Let them submit their bids. We'll open the bids. The agency is the sole responsibility to evaluate and come out with the contractor that has met all the minimum eligibility criteria set, and as well as those special conditions that will enable you to do. So, Doctor, I would like to... Hello?
Yes, I was going to ask another question. I get your point about transparency and accountability and, you know, the fidelity of your processes. But, okay, how about those high-value projects? Why is it that we hear that heads of ministries, departments, and agencies inflate the cost of contracts? They do variation. That's why the existence of BPP. You must know about inflation of cost. You must know about variation of contracts. Where is the missing link in that?
All right, Doctor, let me clarify to you that those issues you've raised, issue of variation, change of scope, they are part of the law. What BPP does, we have in the system, we have within the office, our ability to check prices. We have the skills and the experience to be able to tell you what a particular project ought to cost. In taking into consideration in our own environment, we have to look at the current inflation rate that we see. We have to look at cost of doing project. There are a lot of factors that account for why some projects seems high. For instance, a lot of the contractors will provide electricity for them. The contractors will provide security. The contractors will provide water. Some contractors would also import at the current exchange rate. So all these factors are what seemingly makes what we think in the eye that projects are actually high. But BPP, I can tell you with authority that we benchmark projects. We do due diligence. We verify the capacity of a contractor to deliver on a project. And we also bring down the costs. Where we find projects that are excessive, our internal mechanism allows us to reviewed downwards. And we have also seen situations whereby contracts are also undervalued. And sometimes this is what leads to variation. So under my watch, and from where we're coming from, like you must know, I've learned under great minds in this country. I have been tutored, I have been grinded well to understand how we can properly benchmark projects. And so we are putting a system in place. By the way, if we allow open competition to strive, it is market that will determine the price. It's not inside BPP. Open competition will always throw up best price. It will always throw up the best costs, and also it will also bring down prices. As we go along under our administration, as we continue to intensify agencies opening up their projects, showing open competition, you begin to see that prices will begin to balance up because more entrants, people are now building trust rather than when they believe that it's been given to one man and one man alone. That situation is changing. Doctor, I also must bring to your notice, if you go, I've attended some conferences, perhaps one of them was late last year. In most countries, projects, the cost for a project, the funding has been kept 100%. So contractors have confidence that when they start a project, they will be paid fully as they go on. So right now, one of the things in the system is that we need to ensure that funds are readily available. Sometimes contractors, in their mind, based on the past experiences, they assume that projects will not be paid in time. So sometimes they increase, taking into consideration some of these delays. Perhaps as things are changing now, we are working closely with the budget office, the budget and planning, national planning ministry, with the office of the Honorable Minister of Finance and coordinator of the economy, and the office of the Accountant General, to ensure that projects are funded as at when due. When we do this, you begin to see that contractors and service providers will build confidence in our system, and thereby they will begin to lower their costs, because they know they will be paid as at when due.
Okay, Dr. Adedokun, which takes me to the next point. You are talking about confidence in the system. Now, the perception out there is that some of these procurement approvals are given based on political interference, and that there is a lot of favoritism, that certain MDAs are favored, that certain politicians influence your agency. Can you respond to that? Hello? Can you hear me now? Hello? I was hearing you clearly just now. Okay, let's take a short break and then we'll come back to Dr. Adedokun, the Director General of the Bureau for Public Procurement. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Award season. Make sure you don't miss a thing on the World Standout News Channel. Arise. All the winners. No. All the glamour. And all the controversies. Trust us to be your guide as the entertainment world celebrates its icons. We'll bring you the Golden Globes, 5th January 2025. Beverly Hilton, California. These Day Awards, 27th January 2025, Lagos. Grammy Awards, 2nd February, Crypto.com Arena, Los Angeles. BAFTAs, 16th February 2025, Royal Festival Hall, London. Oscars, 2nd March 2025, Dolby Theatre, Los Angeles. Sign up to Arise Play for an award season special and watch the Golden Globes, Disney Awards, Grammys, BAFTAs, and Oscars live for free. Arise News, awards and beyond.
Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still Dr. Adebowale Adedokun, Director General of the Bureau for Public Procurement, BPP. Dr. Adedokun, thank you very much for staying with us. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Very good. Quickly, I was asking you a question about the perception that there is political interference in your work and that there is favoritism in terms of how procurement bids, contracts are approved. Hello? Did you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you now. Yes, I heard you clearly.
Yeah, I just wanted you to... Please go ahead.
Okay, so let me respond. I have spent about 5 weeks on the job, and I've also had some years under former DGs. In my 5 weeks so far, I am putting it on record, nobody has called me to ask me to influence a process. Rather, what has happened is that I have been able to advise them on the need to follow the process. I've been able to show them that it is in the best interest that they allow the process to follow through. And there's no doubt, it's not only in Nigeria that we talk about influence. It's a global phenomenon. It is left for the institution. It is left for the Bureau to manage the expectation of our political leaders by ensuring that the system, you show them that what they want can be delivered within the confines of the rules and policies. And I can tell you, I've been engaging them. I've been engaging our political leaders right from the one of my appointment. I've been showing them that it is better that they comply. And many of them, I can tell you, within the 5 weeks, I have seen tremendous cooperation from our political leaders who seemingly thought procurement is a tool to slow down things. I have come to show them that it's to the contrary. Procurement is to facilitate, is to help them deliver their mandates to their various communities. It is a good tool to drive down the perception that projects are delayed. So I can tell you within 5 weeks, and from my past experiences, having worked as an SA to former DG, I can tell you that it is you as the DG that has the responsibility to speak to these political leaders, help them to understand the importance, help them to understand the consequences of not complying with the rules, and you can show them that with them complying, with them cooperating, rather than them seeing a delay, they will see that it is actually making things to work faster. They can go back after their tenure. They can go back home peacefully without anybody bugging them or inviting them for investigation because they have complied. So yes, it's a global phenomenon. There's no political leader that will not be interested in delivering on his mandate, but it is us that we guide them, show them the way, And I can tell you, in few weeks, I've been seeing a lot of cooperation from the political class.
Okay, 5 weeks you said in office. Now, within the period of 5 weeks, you've talked about collaboration with the EFCC, the ICPC, and with the Ministry of Finance and other relevant government departments, but with specific reference to corruption. How, in practical terms, would that collaboration with EFCC and ICPC be operationalized?
Okay. All right. Doc, thank you. So, you know, the way we are going to reduce corruption, number one, is that BPP must provide information, timely information to all these stakeholders. For instance, BPP must ensure that all government agencies publish every month, this is our initiative, every month they must publish all contracts awarded in their various agencies. They must publish and send it to BPP, and BPP in its own internal mechanism will share this information with all our partners. We'll share it with ICPC, EFCC, Code of Conduct, NAIT, we'll share it with Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning. All the critical stakeholders would have all these details. When a contract was awarded, how long that contract should take to implement, who is the contractor, where is that contract located. All of this information, we would provide it to all these our collaborators. And also, we've decided to sign an MOU with all of them on how we intend to collaborate in terms of BPP giving out information. Secondly, to be able to curb this corruption, we will insist that with 2025 budget commencing shortly, that it is absolutely mandatory for every government agency to advertise. As simple as that. Thirdly, we are also asking them, which will be issuing the appropriate government circulars, that between now and end of May, probably June, all MDAs in this nation must have completed their awards, such that the second half of this year, all of us who have been saddled with responsibilities will go out to monitor implementation jointly by inviting all our critical stakeholders. Fourthly, we have professional bodies in this country. I don't want to mention specifically, but we have many in different fields, in the IT, in the engineering, in the architecture, in the medical, in the education sector, all of this sector, in the road sector, in the building sector. We are going to ask them to partner with us and go to the field. We will support them by going to the field, monitor projects, give us timely reports, and from our office, we will then share all this data with the Office of the Special Advisor to Mr. President, Policy and Coordination, Adebowale Usman, where she will begin to share with Mr. President, along with us, timely reports of performance. That's another way we're going to ensure we bring down corruption. Also, we have started the process. I must say here that way back in 2008, under our former DG, we started the implementation of electronic government procurement. Unfortunately, we could not bring it to reality then. But now that we are on the saddle, one of the tools that we will use to drive down corruption is to bring in a gradual manner introduction of electronic government procurement, e-procurement. That process has commenced, and as soon as it is in the full gear, it will remove a lot of bottlenecks. That's another initiative to cut down corruption. Another action that we are taking is that all contractors, we already have a national database of contractors, consultants, and service providers. What is left for that database is for us to release it to Nigerians. Contractors will begin to be given jobs based on capacity, based on their financial and technical capacity. So we're grading contractors such that it will no longer, you put equal apple versus apple, orange versus orange. So it will no longer be business as usual. If a contractor has not fully complied with the mandatory criteria, you will not be given jobs. And also, Dr. Abati, let me also put it here, that we are conducting procurement audits. We will not wait till the end of a procurement process. As I'm talking to you, once budget has been passed, I'm setting up teams that will be visiting, that will be monitoring progress reports in all the MDAs. And now we are pushing the battle back to the MDAs. Compliance. In those days, or prior to my assumption of duty. Thank you.
Okay. Please, we need to go very quickly. I noted the point you made about e-procurement processes in a country where, even Aso Rock sometimes, supply of electricity there is sabotaged and all of that. You talked about, digital analysis and all of that. Maybe you are talking about data analytics, AI, and all of that. Now, there are red flags there also in a country where people are just used to pushing fast. Very quickly, do you even have in your agency the skills set required to do that? Very briefly, because we need to go now.
Yes. Doctor, thank you. Yes, we've started a skill gap analysis of officers that will be using to deliver this. We're working with some IT institutions to build capacity. Office of the Head of Service of the Federation is we're about to conduct some skill gap analysis to identify gaps that will enable us match up with where we're going. And Doctor, just to summarize for you, the world has gone global. It's very easy now, on your palm, on your phone, it's very easy to do a lot of things with your phone. So we're putting a mechanism in place to train hands-on training. One of the key areas to deliver this electronic procurement is in the area of capacity building. Government, through Ministry of Finance and the World Bank, has provided us with funds to strengthen the capacity of procurement officers, both in the private and the public sector, to come on board in using these IT tools. Within the system, we also have the opportunity to deploy price intelligence and benchmarking system. This does not require a rocket science. Once you understand the steps, you'll be able to use it effortlessly. Things are changing, and Nigeria has to change to meet up with how the global world is seen. For the internet's sake, I want to assure you that just the same way you are able to do transfer on your phone, just the same way you can do payments across the world effortlessly, whether there's light or not, on your phone, is the same way we are going. We are going to make this tool available on your phones so that anybody in Sokoto, in Calabar, in Ikorodu, in Lagos, in Jigawa, Duse, somewhere in Lokoja, all over the country, as long as you have a mobile phone, you can be able to carry out your online procurement processes as is being done globally.
Okay, on that note,
we intend to also provide a dashboard. Thank you.
On that note, I would like to thank you very much. And that dashboard, Nigerians are hoping will not have technical glitches, which is a very peculiar Nigerian phrase. But I would like to thank you very much for joining us on This Day Live, this Sunday talk show.